Eyup cock and welcome back. We're going to review the League One games from this weekend, but not before we look at Thursday nights very quickly, which was Reading 1, Stevenage 0. I don't want to hear anybody saying that this were a given because it weren't. I'm taking some plaudits here. I said a Reading win. I didn't say 2-1, but I said a Reading win, and I'll take that. Really nice finish from Savage. Bit of a baller, to be fair. He does look quite good. First proper game for Liam Richardson. Obviously, he had the FA Cup one against Carlisle, but I'm not even going to count that one. For a first league game here against the Stevenage side that's, what are they, minute 5th, I think? Yeah. Obviously, they've fallen off a little bit recently, and we might start seeing sides maybe be in a position that they expect to be, or in and around a more realistic place in the next couple of weeks, because we are approaching Christmas quite fast. So I think once we're there, then you'll understand where teams are, really. But it's a really good win for Reading, that is, because Stevenage are no mugs anyway, regardless of the recent form. They're a very good defensive side. And for them to have gone 1-0 up quite early doors, I think that's quite a dangerous position to be in as well sometimes, because your game plan can go completely out at window just because you go in 1-0 up quite early, and then it can just be a case of, well, we'll sit back now and sort of protect this lead. Even though you're 1-0 up at home, I feel like the psychological side of that is quite a dangerous one to be in. So to have it still be a very even game start to finish after that, Reading had a lot of chances in the first 5 minutes from bits that I saw. But that's a really good win, and I thought they managed it really well. It's quite an hard game and an hard situation to be put in for New Gaffer. But I think they've handled that brilliantly, to be honest. It's a really good win. Northampton 2, Mansfield 1. See, to be fair, I thought I was going to get this right as well when I was checking AF12ers, because this were an half 12, it were on Sky. And when I was checking them all coming in, I did think that this were going to be lining up for a 1-1 before Tommy scored that penalty. Another one that's quite an even game. I feel like a lot of the fixtures in League One do look like this anyway, because a lot of teams are quite a level place, really. So I didn't expect to draw here. But Northampton they just keep defying what I think, to be honest. Like, they went on a really good run, then they've been really poor in the last few games. Mansfield at home is a game that you look at and think, if you want to stay up, you've sort of got to get something there, probably a win. And you've got to make the home advantage count if you want to stay up. Northampton are doing really well recently. They're only 5 points in front of safety now, which, when you think about the last couple of months for Northampton and how good they've been, really, if I get like last 10 up, like 9th. They're a borderline playoffs. Well, they are. They're in line with a playoff team in the last 10 games. And they're only 5 points clear. So it's still quite early, yes, that I do think we are getting to a point where at Christmas, if Northampton are in this sort of position, you can breathe a little bit. But honestly, as every game goes on, I don't think either of these two will be. Mansfield were never going to be in bother anyway. But Northampton keep chipping away nicely, and I'm rooting for him. Wycombe 4, Leyton Orient 1. This actually won me a lot of money, this game. My half 12 Aka 1. First time in literally months. Finally! Fedon Yedinma got his 50th league goal, I think, and then his 51st. Though at better side, Wycombe, like, quite considerably from the bits that the highlights showed. It were a bit of the Wycombe show, to be honest. And obviously the stats are painting a completely different picture, and as someone who didn't watch this game, there's not a lot I can go off other than highlights and stats themselves, but I do think that Wycombe did look like they deserved a win, definitely. And you know what Leyton Orient remind me of? They're currently 20th, so 2 points in front of bottom 4. They are 5th bottom. They remind me so much of Barnsley last season, it's untrue how similar these are. They've got a worse defence than we had last season, which honestly takes some doing. But they are so good going forwards, but it's absolutely pointless when you are that shit defensively. And it was just the story of Barnsley's season last year, which is why I think we finished, what did we finish, like 11th? Somewhere in and around there. We were absolutely wank, start to finish. But we scored loads of goals, but defensively we were awful. I think Leyton Orient will be fine. Like, 27 goals conceded is scary. In 15 games, that is a spooky amount of goals to have conceded in such a short space of time. But 22 scored is in line with, like, playoff teams, really, for 15 games. But when you like this, you're going to end up here, really. I don't think they're going to get top 6, but it will even itself out. They'll definitely not go down. I'd put good money on that they won't get relegated. Wycombe, though, you know, every game that goes by, I'm starting to think that our 2-2 draw away at Wycombe, even though we were 2-0 up with 2 minutes left, our draw weren't actually that bad, because this is a super team. Since Duff's come in, it were given anyway. I didn't think they get top 6. I'm not going to completely write that off now because, honestly, with Duff, you never know. But he just really raised standards quickly. Wycombe look a much more complete team. They're scoring a lot more goals and creating a lot more. They looked quite void with Dodds. And a lot of people were saying, well, yeah, but that's because they've got no Coney. No, the team is still okay without Coney. I don't think it's top 6 standard without Coney. But they could definitely be scoring and creating more than they were under Dodds. Dodds is just shit. Duff is a good manager. And honestly, who knows? 6 points off. It's not end of the world, is it, so far? I'm going to hold my hands up immediately and say I got this one wrong. Now, I did say that I thought Blackpool would win. So I'm not going to take that one down, but that's mainly because I don't think Cardiff have been good recently. And the league position, honestly, in recent weeks has been flawed, definitely. Going last 5 games, Cardiff have been very poor. Even the games that they've been winning, 2-1 against Reading and the 4-3 against Leyton Orient, they're not convincing like they were at the start of the season. Defensively, were a massive strong point for them. They're not humongous scorers anyway, really. And that's where a couple 3-0s, 4-0s and stuff like that near the start of the season. But defensively in the last few weeks, what has been a strong point for them so far has definitely taken an hit, and they don't look anywhere near as good or as sturdy at back. So I thought they'd lose, but one thing I want to apologise for, or just come out very early and admit that I got wrong. When Eyup went into Blackpool, I thought that were a decision that would probably send them down. Like I really did, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. You know what? You only see the things that I get wrong because I don't come on here and go, I'm the man, I got this rate and this rate. Sometimes. But I think he's had 2 games in charge in the league. Obviously, they've had cup against Scunny and all. And it was 2-1 away at Peterborough and a 3-1 at home to Cardiff. Really good start. They look much better going forwards, I would say. Fletcher is getting best out of Fletcher straight away. But he knows weaknesses anyway. I've always thought he's okay. He's a decent League One striker, Fletcher is. Under Bruce, they just looked awful. In a lot of the games, they were so hopeless. Even when they bet us, they were genuinely terrible when they bet Barnsley. But Everett has come in, and it's going to take time as well, which is the main reason that I'm saying this. It's going to take time for a side that looks so void of ideas and so low on confidence under Bruce, he's just never been a football manager, has he? But for Everett to come in and immediately get some wins, yes, you've got manager bounce, but to immediately get wins with a side that looked so hopeless before he come in, that just puts Blackpool in good stead to get away from bottom 4. I don't think there will be top 6. Like, I know we're going completely different conversations here, but in a very tight league so far, you're in all sorts of conversations all the time. But I don't think Blackpool will be anywhere near top 6, but I do think they will stay up. I think they are definitely poor defensively, and that honestly is wherever I think will probably tighten up a little bit, to be honest. So I think they'll probably finish in and around here now, but they'll be well away from danger, and I've got to apologise to Eyup because I don't think he's a manager that's ever going to get you out of League One. I don't think he's got the minerals to do that, really. But for a side as poor as Blackpool have been so far, the expectation that they've got, I think he'll have them up and around safety. But really going for Blackpool, starting to worry a bit for Cardiff now. I do think they are sliding away a little bit, and it's honestly not through any sort of like luck or not getting rubber green in certain games. I just think they've been poor for a few weeks and it's starting to catch up with them now. But an impressive win for Blackpool. Only good side in this league. Bolton 4, Port Vale 0. I said it a few weeks ago, and I'm talking like weeks and weeks and weeks ago. I can't remember what game I watched. I can't remember which game I watched. I'll tell you what, before they lost to Burton and all. I can't remember. But anyway, I've been saying for weeks on end that Bolton are my league winners, and I completely stand by it. If you look at every single stat, and I again just want to reiterate this, I hate stats. And I think these things are what wins games and gives you a better opinion on them than anything else will put us in either. But even with these two great balls in your head, you can clearly see that Bolton are best team. Every single stat, I'm assuming, has Bolton as best team in the league. I think they dominate more or less every single game, and that's not even scratching surface of what Bolton have been doing in some of the recent games. They'll come in and have like 2 expected goals and score once. They've been underperforming their expected goals, I think, for the most part. But Schumacher as well, partnered with what is probably one of, if not best squad in the league, and behind Luton, I would say, and maybe Huddersfield, squad-wise. Bolton have just got the perfect mix of everything, and I'm glad that we played them when we did and got them out of way, and we could have won and all going to get that red card. Port Vale, I'm not sure what the hell's gone on recently. Maybe we just played them at a really bad time, but they're conceding loads and loads of goals, which they shouldn't be really, and they're not scoring anywhere near as many as they should. Especially when the play doesn't look really good, and when Cole first come in, they were just scoring goals for fun. It's all sort of hit a wall recently, Port Vale, and I'm not really sure what to say. I gaslit me send here and saying that Bradford would win. I was making all the right points in the prediction video that I did for this, that it could be and probably would be a banana skin for Bradford, because I think it's maybe signs of the time that they've had in League 2 creeping into a game like this, when Bradford are the massive favourites, going up against a really small team in terms of stature, and a team that plays in front of 2,000 a week normally coming and playing in front of 20. I think there's a lot of psychological side of things behind something like that. And Bradford have always struggled, going back years into League 2 here, being the biggest side by miles and being the favourite by miles. I think they've always struggled with them type of games, and this just was it. When Burton are going to come and just sit behind the ball and hit you on 2 counter-attacks and score from them, and then just sit back and make it so Bradford have got to go and break them open, instead of Bradford sitting back and playing on counter-attack, which they're really good at and so direct at. I can't believe I just went for Bradford win. I made all the right points and then just went, Well, I think Bradford will win anyway, just because at the minute that's how it's going for Bradford. Bit worrying. But also, got to be said, really good win for Burton. They are also, another point that I made, they're incredible against better sides. I think they've bet Bolton, Cardiff, Bradford, maybe someone else like Luton. They've met Huddersfield. I think they've bet a lot of the better sides recently, Burton. And when they are the underdog, they are really good in these type of games. It's a proper banana skin, this. If you are a decent side and you're coming up against Burton, get ready because you're in for a slog. They scored 2 against Barnsley and we ended up winning it last minute. Against the better sides, these are a serious team to watch out for, Burton. Yeah, you're reading that right as well. Holy shit, baby! Doncaster 1, Barnsley 2. Now, the stats are skew-whiffed. I thought it was quite an even game. Donny may be the marginally better side. And a lot of Donny fans are going to come in immediately and said that this man, Billy Sharp, the little fat bastard, should have had a penalty late on because Tenai Watson, I think it was Tenai Watson who gave him a little bit of a shove and a trip. I think it's one of them ones. I would have wanted it. If it had happened to a Barnsley player, I would have wanted a penalty. But I also don't think that's a penalty at the same time. It's one of them ones. I can completely understand where Donny fans are coming from, and I would do the exact same thing if I were a Donny fan. But also, if you want to play if, buts and maybes, then Billy Sharp gave Shepherd a slap in first half and should have been sent off. Look, fat pig bastard. And you know what? Maybe if you want chuffing 18 stone and 5'2", we could have got his shot off and sorted his feet out. But, you know what I mean? It's time to put your feet up, mate. You've earned it. You're not at this level anymore, bud. To be fair, for that goal, he was really good. Really good. Molyneux, I thought, were one of the best players on pitch. Him and Kelly were probably 2 best players. He was very good against Rooney early. I don't know how Rooney's got a 7.1. Nah. No, the less said, the better, I think. But Molyneux absolutely spun him time and time again in first half. Ogbetter come on and did really good. Jorgen Nathan took his goal well, and Kelly, fantastic. We had Dunn on bench who come on and scored. Yeah, I think the boys are back. That's where I'm at. Donny's form has been poor, and I can understand why from maybe a mental side of things. Someone should have took for a second goal when Kelly like megged you on edge of his own box and ran through, played done through and scored. Someone should have taken him out for a card. And I think that would maybe the only marginal difference. We were more clinical than what Donny were. But the only difference being, when Donny got on an attack a couple of times, someone would just take card at middle of the park. And I don't think Donny were doing that enough. They weren't professional enough for someone like that. And I think that's what's bit me in arse there. But I know they're looking down here a little bit. Definitely will stay up. Definitely. I think they've got a lot of quality in certain areas of that pitch. And ultimately, I think they were quite unlucky to have lost that game. It could have been a draw, and maybe that were a fair result, but ultimately, eat my ass. We should have bet Rotherham 8-0 and lost. But with the current top 8, 7 of them losing apart from Bolton, and us having 2 games in hand and being 7 points off top, we win our games in hand, despite doing nothing so far this season, and we're second. Noticing. Extra 1, Wigan 0. Did I get that one right? Yeah. Extra 1, Wigan 1 even. They had a goal disallowed very late, Wigan, for an handball, I think. And again, I agree with that. It's been blasted at him from like 5 yards. But if it's hit your arm, you know what I mean? There's nothing you can do. Looked fairly even apart from that late old chance. Wigan maybe feel like they've been slightly unlucky. And they've been doing okay, Wigan, after some really poor form. But not winning enough games or scoring enough goals to really push them up into any sort of conversations a minute. Exeter have been in like cracking form and all, but it's just one of them ones at minute where you're in so many different conversations because the points tally is so close. I know you've got 3 teams here at bottom that are all on 13 points, so maybe if you want to look at Blackpool, say, as a relegation side at minute, they're 10 points off playoffs, Blackpool. 10 points, and they're at relegation zone. It's so close still, this league, and there's no real standouts. For us to be 15 games in and not be to have even broke 30 points yet, I think does show the standard just being quite poor across board. This is bad though. Huddersfield 3, Plymouth 1. Cleverly still there. I don't know if you've seen my TikTok on it or if you've seen the interview that Cleverly did after the match where he's talking about, yeah, we're bottom at league and we're awful and all this stuff. But, big old but here, we, Plymouth, are top of our league in the Virtue Trophy. You know our 4-team league that's got Cheltenham, Bristol Rovers and Tottenham's Children in? We're top of that. So there's always silver linings, isn't there? Yeah, maybe we're going to League 2 and we're going to play in boring wooden league next season. But we're going to get to the next round at Virtue Trophy. What's attendance for that one, please? 712. He's a cheeky little bastard and all. Dion Charles has been absolutely wank. He's on so much money at Huddersfield. Dog shit since he left Bolton to Huddersfield. Scores a tapping into an open net. Runs round getting it bigger. Yeah, Huddersfield did deserve to win though. Plymouth are just genuinely awful. I think Cleverly will be sacked quite soon. And if they keep getting him longer than he's getting now, I think you're going to be in a position that you really don't want to. Because you're going to get to January, probably not spend, because that's what's got you in this mess in first place. A dog shit transfer window. If you get to January and don't spend, you might be too far away already. Someone like Plymouth, whose minimum expectation really is probably where Huddersfield are now. It's a minimum is being a sort of playoff picture. You mind getting in there. You've got to at least be in and around this sort of clan of teams with team and expectation that you've got from coming down. And no, it's not a promotion-worthy side, this Plymouth team. It's just really not. But Cleverly's got to get a hell of a lot more out of this side than he is doing. Because no, it's not promotion-worthy, but it's definitely not worst side in league. He's doing crap. Good win for Huddersfield, mine, and I think Grant's bought himself a bit of time there. But ultimately, I think the problems are still there. But a really good win nonetheless. Huge. Huge, that is. I know you're looking at my prediction and thinking, what the bloody hell's this guy on about? But Peterborough have been crap all season. Like, onking shite. And Wimbledon, yes, they've lost the last couple of games, which is slightly worrying now for a side that started so well. And conceding the amount that they are, when that's a strong point of Wimbledon's, not really sure what's going on. But Peterborough dog shit, and they've won 5-0. And when you look at that expected goals, that is crazy. 4 expected goals. One's a penalty, in fairness, but 4 expected goals is nuts. And to have someone like Leonard, who's just been quite poor since coming in, scored twice. This chuffing Lindegaard, or whatever his name is, he is crap. But he took them finishes like a seasoned veteran. Like, really good goals that were taken there from Peterborough for a side that's been so awful and so void of confidence for all season, really. I do like Luke Williams, and I think it's a good addition. But same thing as always, really, for Peterborough. I think if they are going to stay up, that midfield has got to really drag them through it. Because, yes, they've won 5-0, but personnel-wise, this is still one of the worst teams in league easily. And a 5-0 win does not change that across a full season. They are joint bottom still. They're on -7 and they've won 5-0. That's the place that we're in here with Peterborough. But that midfield is quite good, and I do rate it quite highly. It's a decent midfield. Every other area of pitch is crap. But that's a decent area from that. And if they are to stay up, I think they'll have these boys to thank in middle. Slightly concerning for Wimbledon, though, to get slapped about by someone like Peterborough 5-0. But still 7th for now. I do think they'll probably find the place in and around here. And it's concerning the amount of goals that they're conceding when that's a real strong point for them. It don't bother them. 3-0 against Lincoln. Well, bloody hell. Maybe I've got to eat my shorts, baby. 0.6 expected goals, 3 of them. That Martha, I quite like him, you know. He's one that looks like he's got a bit of something about him. He's quite sharp and he's quite nippy off block. I quite like that fella, to be honest. I do quite like him. A lot of the other players are dog shit still. I don't mind him for a young lad getting a chance. Good luck to you. I don't know what's happened to Lincoln either. Last couple of weeks, again, another side that started really well, that's just been losing a lot of games recently. Everybody sort of goes through them. I hope that Barnsley have just had ours now. We went 5 games, we had to win. I hope we've got over that now. And I think a lot of other teams are starting to maybe have their spell now. Rotherham had theirs. Well, Rotherham were crap for first 13 games, really. But they've been turning it around recently. Scoring a lot more goals in recent weeks. I still think they're in bother, to be fair. But they are really starting to put it on a little bit recently. But what a win that is for Rotherham, honestly. Good on them. And then Stockport, chuff me. Stockport 0, Luton 3. I can't believe this. I honestly can't believe it. A lot of set pieces and free kicks and stuff like that for the goals for Luton here. Yes, fair enough. And Stockport had quite a lot of expected goals. Yes, one's a penalty that Nathan Lowe missed, and a lot of it will come from that. But I really thought that Stockport's gaffer had just tactically shunned Wilshere, really. Being so inexperienced, Wilshere, and going up against a Stockport manager that's got loads of promotions all at this one club. He's been there for ages now. I really thought that this would just go complete opposite way result-wise, and I'm very surprised it's not. Luton's team's like top draw for this league, and they should be getting more out of it than they are doing. The points tally so far is awful, really. I know that the 9th, and they're only 6 points off top of it, I guess you could say, so it's not end of the world. But you expect Luton to have been like here, really, at least. Luton's squad is so much better than everyone's. Realistically, Luton have got best team in league by a mile. And they should be winning a lot of games. And they should be winning a lot of big games like this one as well. Wilshere's gained it out of him recently in the last couple of games. All comps, I think he's won 4 in a row now, I believe. Yeah. Scoring a lot of goals. They were conceding a few to Forest Green. And that's mainly why I thought that they could get tactically outdone here. To be 3-0 up against Forest Green and then let them back in with something. But quite a variety of different sides there in the last 4 and winning them all. I think Wilshere almost can't lose because of how good that team is. But to go against a Stockport side that's been like banging form for ages and winning loads of games, to absolutely destroy them away at their place where Stockport are very good at home, that is a huge, huge win for Wilshere and Luton. And I think, honestly, the only way is probably up now for them. You expect them to be up there. And that is going to have them in a really good place. But then one last look at table. Plymouth are still dead last. But at least they're top at Virtue Trophy group with 4 teams in. So, you know what I mean? Like, let's get his priorities in order here. With Port Vale and Peterborough all on 13 points. Quite poor. Blackpool, I think, will probably get out of it quite quickly now with how well they've started under Ian Evatt. And then flying up table, big wins for Rotherham, Barnsley, Huddersfield and Luton, to be fair. And looking at the current top 8, 7 of them all lost this weekend or on Thursday night. The only side that won was Bolton, who I do think are league winners. But current top 2 still is Bradford in second and Stockport top of the league. I don't think it'll be like that for much longer. And the Reds are going up. Great boys, pleasure. Thank you very much for watching. Case, make sure you like, subscribe if you do enjoy it. It does help me out a lot. Thank you as always, and I'll see you in a bit. Goodbye.
I say I'm a man, yes, I'm a mucker. I think of me saying as a right good looker. I say up that. Show us the tits.